Hello everyone, welcome to the channel. Today we are reviewing my trip down to the 2025 Rolex 24 Hours of Daytona. Flew in from Indianapolis Saturday before the race and flew out Sunday, so just a little weekend trip. And it was pretty awesome, excited to share some clips from it. So as we can see, the day starts very early. I had my alarm set for 3. It's actually a pretty easy wake-up call. I went to sleep at 7 and I could barely sleep because I was too excited to get up and get the day started. I felt like I was just waiting for the alarm to go off. But here we are. That gets us to Daytona at about 10 in the morning. Down on the grid, plenty of time to explore that. It's one of the awesome parts of the event is the grid is just open to fans. You go walk around the ball field and everything and go right up to the cars and drivers and all that. But yeah, the race is underway. My plan for this was to spend most of the beginning of the race up in the grandstands. With 24 hours, I didn't really feel like a rush to get anywhere. You can see it's already getting pretty cold. It's only 5 o'clock, and I've got a lot of layers on. But the plan was to spend the first, 4, 5, 6 hours maybe in the grandstands, and then head down into the infield after the sun went down and start walking around the campsites and checking out the views from in there. But the view from the grandstand is just awesome. I mean, the hybrid sort of nature of this track, all being contained within a super speedway, a road course contained within a super speedway means, especially with the new grandstands that Daytona put in about 10 years ago, that you can see the whole track really well from the grandstands. And they provide you open access to go anywhere, so you can check out all sorts of different views. Right down at the front, obviously you can't follow the race as well, but it's really spectacular to go stand down there, especially once the sun starts to go down and the lights of the cars come into view. You can see I'm having a pretty good amount of fun here. I started drinking beers when I got there at about 10 in the morning, so here we are, 6 going on 7 p.m. And really enjoying myself. I really enjoyed standing down by the fence. This is probably my favorite part of attending the race, actually, was this time right here, 7 o'clock, it's still early, not too fatigued. I got a pretty good night of sleep last night. I've been drinking beers for quite a few hours now. And the lights of the cars and the track and everything and the speed at they're reaching basically terminal velocity there at the tri-oval. So this was really cool, standing down here. I was really enjoying it. These are some clips I sent to my friends we had a group chat going. People were trying to figure out what to do on Saturday night. And I was showing what I was up to, my little solo trip down to Daytona. Pretty awesome. Maybe it'll inspire some people to join me next year. But anyways, just more clips of that. And then in the next clip here, you can see that the concourses are just wide open. I mean, you can go wherever you want, so you can get some great views of the oval and the road course and everything. And it's pretty cool to just be walking around like a world-class sporting facility like this with just barely anybody around, but with an event going on. So here's a nice view of the cars coming off the banking. I'm sort of making my way over towards that tunnel there. Going to head down into the infield here in a second and start walking around the campsites. 8:13 p.m. Sun's been down for a few hours, and vibes are pretty high. Things are going well. We're really enjoying the evening so far, but obviously a long way to go. So here we're on campsites. This is over inside of oval turns 3 and 4. The campsites, the campground scene is just incredible at this race. I mean, some of the setups these people have with chairs, projectors, giant fires going, little like beer trees, full bars set up. I mean, it's just awesome. You got to go check it out if you go to this race. There's one of the beer trees I was talking about. All the flags flying and everything, and it's all just in the backdrop of this pretty awesome event. And we can see a crash car from that big wreck on the restart. It's the other thing that's pretty cool is, you're just at a live racetrack, so they've got, they're towing wrecked cars and cars with mechanical failures back to the garages and everything. So now firmly into night here, 10:30 p.m. I'm walking along the little short chute towards the kink in between the two ends of the horseshoe. And it's really cool. People put ladders up on this fence. You can just go stand up there and look over the fence, have an unobstructed view of the cars going by. Absolutely loving it. Really enjoying myself, as you can tell. It's pretty cold. I got a lot of layers on, but the atmosphere is just amazing. And I wasn't following the race that closely at this point. This guy certainly was, though. He looked like he was way into it. But anyways, I wasn't following the race that closely. I love this end of the track, by the way. This little grandstand over here is so cool. I mean, I think the cars go by. Well, for one, good passing zone, good place to defend, too, with sort of the straight line breaking up the inside and the radius of the corner, the way it's sort of open and then gets really tight and then opens up again. But anyways, I was really just walking around taking it all in at this point. I mean, with the IMSA full course yellow rules, they line everybody up in class order. They let everybody pit. They let wave arounds pit so you can get back on the lead lap for free, essentially. So I kind of felt like there's really no reason to follow the race that closely. I mean, it's sort of just a parade at this point. I mean, the racing is good. It's interesting, I guess, but you're really just watching for DNFs because track position doesn't really matter. Gaps don't really matter. They all get closed up. You can get a lap back under yellow for free. So a lot of that doesn't really matter until the final 4 hours of this race, which, to be honest, I'm not a fan of. I definitely prefer a pure race, even if things are spread out. But certainly didn't take away from my enjoyment of this event. I really enjoyed it. Here we are. It's getting a little later, 12:21 now. It's past midnight. A full day of drinking beers and walking around and being rattled by race cars and loud noises and bright paint schemes and lights and everything starting to catch up to me a little bit. Up on top of the garages, I like to go walk around the garages when it gets late at night, see the teams at work on cars that are have crashed or having mechanical issues. I think we go down to one here in a second. It's pretty cool access you get at this race. Can't see a lot from there on top of the garages, but it is just kind of cool to look down at what's going on in the garage area below you. Tough to follow the race from there, though. But yeah, here we are. Here's one of the GTP Porsches that got caught up in a crash. You can see it's kind of attracted a crowd around it as they try to fix the car. And it's cool. I mean, you can just go right up. There's really nothing blocking you from the garage. See the team's working on the car. There's the driver there. I forget who that is. But the level of access is pretty amazing. And the fans are friendly. I mean, if you like racing, it's easy to strike up a conversation with the people around you because everybody's pretty tuned in and everybody's enjoying themselves. So, all right, it's 1:09 in the morning. First time I went to this race, I stayed up until 4, snuck into a suite, which I didn't realize were fully off limits to just general admission tickets. Got kicked out at 6. And, I didn't get a lot of sleep, and it made Sunday pretty rough. So, plan this year was to head up into the concourse around the grandstand concourse around 2 in the morning, 3 in the morning, and actually get some sleep. See, I'm headed towards the tunnel now to head back to the grandstand. It's pretty cool walking through this tunnel. Feels historic. Feels like hallowed ground, I guess. Not quite like Indianapolis, but still, very cool facility. And we're heading back to the grandstands. We're going to find a place to sleep. I actually brought a hammock into the track, which you'll see I sling up in a couple clips here. Didn't see anybody else doing that, but also didn't see anything in the gate regulations saying it wasn't allowed. And I got a pretty good night of sleep, I gotta say. Here we are on top of the banking. There was nobody blocking this, no fence or anything, so I was able to just walk right up. Although I still kind of got the feeling that I wasn't supposed to be up there, and it was maybe kind of a dangerous place to be, so I didn't stay up there for very long, really just long enough to get that clip. And had to stop by the spotter stand as well. The view from up here is just spectacular. If you come to this race, you've got to go up there and check it out. I mean, it's just an amazing bird's eye view of the whole facility. Everything's all lit up. It's cold up there, but it's pretty cool. There we are, people sleeping up in the concourse. They found some turf. There's my hammock. Pretty sweet setup. I think I've pioneered this idea. I didn't see anybody else doing that. And I left the race car sounds in the background there because I gotta say, as comfy as the hammock was, it's cold and you are just getting rattled by the engines all night. So brushing my teeth there in the morning. It's a beautiful morning, but I woke up pretty hungover, pretty tired, definitely in need of some water, and just rattled by falling asleep to race car engines, not sleeping very deeply, and waking up to still just engines pounding around. About 100 yards away. It's definitely a pretty hardcore race fan experience. There's a little lockup from the LMP2 there. I mean, the action just goes on and on and on, except when there's a full course yellow, obviously, and it takes like 20 minutes to get it sorted. But anyways, that's not what this video is about. It's pretty cool walking around in the grandstands in the morning. You can can see the fans coming back in from their hotels or campsites or motorhomes, or even if they're, cars they're sleeping in, rental cars or whatever, out in the parking lots. And the race is just going on and on and on. So took in some views from the grandstands, but I wanted to head back down into the infield, back to my favorite little grandstand in the at the end of the I guess that would be the west horseshoe. We're coming up on it now. And now I'm starting to pay a little closer attention to the race, because you're probably not going to get a lot of full course yellows, so track position's starting to matter. Gaps are starting to matter. I mean, it is entirely possible that the race goes green all the way to the finish from here. So now I'm getting pretty tuned in, and things were really tight, really interesting, particularly in the GT Pro class. The front of that pack was so close and so hard fought. I think even without the long, maybe sort of contrived full course yellow procedures, it would have been a very close race in that class. This was really interesting. That Corvette is leading the class with a BMW right behind it, and BMW in front is many laps down, but blocked the Corvette for maybe 45 minutes to an hour straight, probably. And his sort of friend BMW there could never get by. Eventually they made contact and some bodywork came off. I'm sure everybody watching this saw the whole thing unfold on TV. But it was just a thrilling battle. I mean, it was awesome to watch that in the morning. I was glued to it. Here, this looks like right after a restart for something. Field's all packed up again. And I'm back up in the grandstands where I'm going to spend the rest of this race, because the view up here is just amazing. And now I actually want to watch the on-track action pretty closely. And I'll tell you what, for the life of me, I cannot understand why the Porsche number 6 team took Kevin Estre out of the car. I mean, that guy was just lighting it up with, I think, 3 or 4 hours left in the race. Drove through the field, took the lead of the class, and then they pulled him out and put Matt Campbell in against Felipe Nasr, who's Formula 2 champion, Formula 1 experience, tons of experience in these cars. And to be honest, I don't really know much about Matt Campbell, but it's just hard to imagine somebody keeping up with Nasr. And Estre did. Here's the pass for the lead I'm talking about, actually, or at least part of it. I think this is the battle between Campbell and Nasr for what winds up being the overall win. But I think if the team had left Kevin Estre in that car, they would have won. And that's it. Race is over. Leaving the facility, grabbing some Wawa on the way out, and I'll see you next year.